So where I left off was the second last midwife I had. So she was asking me the same questions, even though like I told her everything. And then she was like, so do you want to do an ultrasound? And I'm like, no, it's okay. She's like, yeah, but how will I know like your baby's okay and fine? And I'm just like, okay, well, it's heartbeat, it's movement. I'm telling you. And then she's like, yeah, but like, okay. I mean, if your baby dies, then I can sleep fine at night. And I was like, okay. Okay. This is where I'm at right now. And so she's like, okay, fine. I'll listen to the heartbeat, So she's like with the stethoscope, like trying to find the heartbeat and whatnot. I'm just like, okay, I made time, to be here. So whatever, But she was having a hard time finding the heartbeat. And she got really frustrated at my baby. She's like, oh my gosh, she's making it so, like, the baby's making it so hard for me to hear the heartbeat. Like, she's actually getting like upset, like not like jokingly, like, ha ha ha, it's just like, yeah, like you're actually upset. It hasn't even been 10 minutes. It hasn't even been 10 minutes. So there was another midwife. And she came in, and she was an elder as well. And she came and she listened to the heartbeat with like an old tool that old midwives would use. I forget, it's like a funnel kind of thing, and you put your ear to it and you hear the baby's heartbeat. And she found it like immediately, and then after that she left. I'm like, who are you? Like it's like a love story, like love at first sight, and then they leave and you're like, oh my God, where have you been my whole life? And then eventually I actually found out that she owned that midwifery center. And I'm like, wow, you need to hire better people. But yeah, so that was that. And then I think the next day or the next 2 days, I gave birth. So it's been months, and then I gave birth to Zoe. But I wanted a water birth. So at home, like I was like, I'm gonna give birth at home, But I was living at Ziggy's house at the time, and his dad was like, no, she needs to go to the hospital right now, blah, blah. I just didn't want to put up a fight. So the ambulance came and I'm on the stretcher, and I've progressed a lot because the whole night I was up, I went to go poo and I'm like, oh, this isn't a poo. And then, I was progressing and whatnot. And when the ambulance came, my water broke. And then shortly after, like literally 5 minutes, the hospital was like 10 minutes away from me, and 5 minutes into the drive, his head was out. We pulled up into the driveway of the hospital. I gave birth to Zoe, like on the stretcher. So they still bring me into the hospital and all of that. And yeah, so we're doing a Lotus birth. All the nurses and doctors, they're like, oh my gosh, what is that? Because they wanted to cut the placenta. And I'm like, no. And I'm tired, So thank God I had Ziggy that was like, no, But like, I remember when they came and they started like rubbing off his vernix. And I'm like, no, please don't. And I kept saying no, and they would not listen to me. So Ziggy had to be like, she said no, definitely in a lower tone voice, not as high as mine. Oh, hi, Kamalu. So cute.
Say hi.
And It's okay. Aw.
Is it her at the plant place?
Are you at a plant place? He said, because he sees plants.
Yes.
I like plants.
Aw, that's so nice.
Like plants? I like plants too.
Nice. There's a lot of succulents, cactus here. So those are the kind of plants we have here, and like other plants that Zoe like totally destroys. Yeah, he likes plants a little too much. But yeah, what else?
That's like dramatic. Like he did not want these people involved really in his birth. Like he did not want to come with them like there. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna come before they get too much in my space.
Yeah, and it's so funny the way he was born was his facial reactions after he was born was priceless, because he would like kind of give you like side eye, like, like, who are you? Like,
yeah,
what you talking about, Lilith? Like that kind of
like, who are these
that
people?
Kind of yes. And so another midwife came.
Wait, so you ended up not going along with those midwives, and when you went into labor, you just went to the hospital? Like, you just went to the hospital and was like, I'm gonna just birth there? Yeah.
And
wait, were they midwives that were there, or midwives were working at that hospital?
No, they weren't connected to it, but Ziggy ended up calling our midwives so like they can help, with the care afterwards and stuff. So we came to the hospital, and it was another midwife. So it was like many midwives on the team. So if this midwife couldn't make it, then this midwife can. And so another midwife came, and Zoe was born like 5 pounds and like 8 ounces and whatnot. And I was just like, he was perfect for me, like just perfect. Like he was
all he needs to do was breastfeed. That's it.
Exactly.
Babies come out that size or smaller, all like perfectly healthy, and all they need is your breast milk. You might have been that size. Do you know what size you were, or Ziggy, when y'all were born?
I don't remember, but I think I've always been small,
Yeah. Sometimes they don't consider that. Like babies can match, like be like as small as how you may have been.
And sometimes I think that they were made for that size and whatnot, so they can grow bigger outside of you. And that's okay too,
Because your breast milk is just that like golden and magical, because it's gonna grow them so fast. Like this baby, Tonya, is growing so fast. Like I was like, I don't remember my baby being like Kamalu growing this fast, but he came out a whole like 2 pounds smaller. Kamalu came out at 8 pounds, but he grew like, to me, he looks like he's already like 2 months, and he's a month, and I'm like, wow, like I could see like how fast they can grow. So that makes perfect sense. Like I absolutely believe that your body also knows what kind of milk you're going to produce, and like how fast it's going to grow the baby, how like super nutritious it is going to be for them. So that may be true. If they come out at 7 or 8 pounds and they're like 15 pounds the next week, like that's too fast. That's too much. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And then so the midwife, she showed up the same day, and then she's like, I just wanted to check up on him, he's so tiny, and then the next day she showed up, and then she, like, my breast milk wasn't in, it was like colostrum at that time, and she's like, oh, you're not producing enough milk. And I'm just like, oh, okay, like it'll come in time, right? And she's like, yeah, maybe you have to give him formula. And I was letting her know, like, I'm vegan. It says that in my chart, if you checked it. And there's no plant-based, what's it called? Plant-based formulas. So I'm not going to do any of the formulas. I can make my own formula, you know, like with sea moss and hemp milk with some dates and whatnot, because sea moss is supposed to have all the nutrients that the human body needs. So, and I was just researching. I knew I wasn't going to use formula and breastfeed regardless, because I also knew about the endocrine system, and the endocrine system is triggered when the baby keeps sucking, you know, and the endocrine system will tell the hormones like, okay, so this is what needs to be pumped out, you know, and how much to pump out and whatnot. So yeah, I knew that, but my doctor, my midwife, did not even talk to me about, hey, it's colostrum. Right now, your breast milk will come in like within the week, maybe next week, you know, but right now it's colostrum, most important part of the milk for the baby when it's none of that. They didn't talk to me about any breastfeeding at all the whole time I was in these care with midwife at all. So I had to educate myself. So the second day and the last day that this midwife came, you know, I was letting her know like this is like the kind of like thing I could do, you know, as formula. Again, not going to use formula, definitely gonna breastfeed, but just letting her know like, you know, like I am thinking about what you're talking about, you know. So so I did that, and I looked at plant-based milk, and it was made out of rice water. This plant-based formula that was in the market, it was like $100 for like little formula, you know. So I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna obviously not do this, but let you know like this is what's in the market, you know. And I'm just like, it's rice water.
Yeah, like
you know, what they're giving babies, it's rice water. Like this is what you would think is healthier, beneficial for a baby instead of breast milk.
I'm surprised that she even talked to you about that within like the first or second day. Like, you know that the milk doesn't come to like 3-4 days, sometimes more. And the baby's body is smart. The baby, they know that, you know, their body is made to, they have to live with that. They know that. Like, so it's crazy how a whole midwife can come make you feel like you're not, that was the first step. And you could have been like, okay, super depressed or something, like my body's not making the right amount of milk for my baby, and started the baby on formula. It's such, oh my gosh, like when I hear it, sometimes I just cringe, like, because women don't, like when the women don't know and they're just like, they get scared right away. Okay, I'm just going to start supplementing. And it's like, wow, they told you this one thing and they lied, first of all. And now you're giving your baby this formula. We don't even really know what the formula is. You're spending money you don't need. And on top of that, your baby's not getting exactly, your milk is literally made for their every need. Like, that is wild. It was only like the second day that she came. So they wanted you to pump this baby with milk so fast so that they can make them feel comfortable. Basically, it was making them nervous that the baby wasn't the same size of every other baby that comes. And so they projected that onto you and made you feel like your milk is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just think about it. Or go off, you know, on them. And just be like, educate yourself, you know, like everything you know isn't everything, you know, right? And
how long did you end up staying there? Like, you just stayed like 2 days after or a day after?
She stayed that last day because she called CPS on us.
Oh my God.
And
because you refused to do the formula?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I think they do that when they're afraid for their own
Sorry.
I don't know what she would have been afraid of, but a lot of times I feel like they make you do different things when they're afraid for their own like license, but their license is under this whole thing of like, you have to operate this, you have to operate this way. You have to do this. If you don't do it, then you can be looked at as like now your license is under like, it's being looked at, and you have like they're worried about their career, but like birth is too much of a sacred thing for like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's so wild. So she called because you were refusing to give the baby the formula that they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was like, well, you're fired.
I never even called her.
Yeah, I never called her. She opened twice, and I never had a midwife after that. And there was a nurse. So the CPS people came the same day. So literally after she left, that second day, she called CPS, and an hour after she left, they came. They're knocking on the door. I'm like, who are these people? Who are these white people at my door? I don't know them. And so they left a voicemail as well. I'm like, and they know my number? Okay. They're like, yeah, we're at your door right now. We got a call about your baby, and we need to do a checkup on them. And I knew nothing like how you can literally refuse them to come to your house, but I guess it was so they did this on a Friday, and then so he was born on a Thursday. Yeah, so she came Thursday, Friday, and that was the last day. And then the weekend came, and then the whole time I was just like, I'm just gonna love on my baby, you know, like, this is so weird. These people are so weird to me, you know? And so I think my milk came in on that Monday or something, but the nurse, so it was a nurse and a CPS. So the nurse was like, yeah, so I heard that, you know, you're not breastfeeding or formula feeding and whatnot. Just want to let you know that your milk will come through like maybe tomorrow or like, you know, a couple days after, you know? And then on that Saturday, I got my milk, like it was just bursting. I was like, oh my gosh, my boobs are so big. Yeah, and it was great. And then I was just like, you know what, I will let them go. You know, and they literally was just like, the reason why we were called was because we heard that you were going to give your baby almond milk. I'm like, hemp milk, but almond milk, you're sleeping on the floor. We're sleeping with a mattress on the floor, you know, because we're just thinking that the baby's going to roll off the bed, you know, like eventually. And they're like, they were even saying that like it was unsafe to have your baby sleep on the bed with you. I'm like, maybe if you're drunk and you're so drunk that like you probably roll over your baby, yeah, you know. But like, I'm so aware that I have a baby that I'm like, it breathes a little louder, I'm awake, you know. I'm just like, oh, you okay, you good?
Yeah,
you know. And yeah, they were like, yeah, that's why we were called. And I was just like, yeah, that's definitely my my midwife. Actually, they're like, do you think you know who called us? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, okay, does almond milk sound familiar to you? I'm like, my midwife, and actually hemp milk. Yeah. And then they just like came like every day to see that he was growing. They're like, okay, he's obviously growing. Oh yeah, and then because I refused like getting the vitamin K shot, checking to see if he has jaundice, which you would tell because he'd be yellow. So you didn't have to prick up your baby because it's very obvious. To see if he was autistic, I'm like, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, these are pretty obvious tests that I can do myself without a midwife or a doctor. But they want to be able to use their tools and whatnot. And I just knew that's why they were upset with me, is because they couldn't use those tools. But eventually the CPS and people, they're like, you need to find new midwives, and yeah, your baby's doing great. So bye forever. If you need us, like, this is our email, whatever, you know. But yeah, that was my first experience with midwives. Yeah.
Wow. I hadn't even heard the whole story. So like for sure if I had that kind of experience. But that's a lot of the times the kind of things I see them do to some of the clients I've worked with. Not to like that extreme of like calling CPS, but basically like I said, the one woman who they were like, we just can't come to your home birth, or you know, you're measuring small, so we're sending you to get ultrasounds every week, and then yeah, like things aren't looking so good, so we probably won't be able to come to your home birth. And it's like, what? Like, where is the whole? And then when they meet with me as their doula, they already have this whole like trust and belief in these people. So it's like when I'm saying things like, okay, well, have you meditated? Have you sat and like just in quiet and talk to your baby to know that your baby's okay? It's almost like they can't even like what is that kind of, you know, like what is that gonna do? You know, when these people are telling me that their machines are showing them that my baby is too small or whatever. And it's like, yo, midwives are not supposed to be doing that. Like, I don't know what you have, but it's not a midwife. And even though I had a medically trained midwife who was trained like under the system, she didn't believe in like cervical checks, and she didn't believe in like another thing, like the assessment and stuff they do when the baby comes. She did some of that. And luckily my baby was pretty calm during it, but that's another thing that like blows my mind. It's like the baby is screaming, crying, and they're just doing all these things to the baby and touching the baby's head and like all this assessment. It's like the baby just needs to be on the mom. By the way they're breastfeeding, and like how you said, like, you know what's going on with your baby. Like the way we're so connected to them, especially when you do a natural birth and you don't have any like medical interventions, that is allowing your body to be totally in tune with your baby. Even more so, I think, than if you had things like Pitocin, epidural, and all that stuff. I think it kind of interferes with the connection. But when you don't have it, you are so in tune. You know when something is off. Like they can just cry differently or have a different look, breathe a little bit differently, and you're going to know if you practice and allow yourself to be that in tune with your baby. And oh my goodness, I can't believe, like, so yeah, a lot of the times it's literally just the midwife or whoever the person, your OB or whatever, them being afraid because their training they have like these textbook things of like babies should be this many pounds by this time. They should be like this. Like if it's not textbook, then they're kind of like, whoa, what is this? Like we're all so different. Like we're all different beings, different people. We came from different people. So they just get thrown off when it doesn't look like that. And then they get scared. And then it's like, okay, my license, my career depends on this thing. You know, so if you're not going to go along with my way of practicing, then I need to alert some people because, you know, oh, like what you said, like my license over your birth or something like that. That's like a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But give thanks for you knowing, like, first of all, educating yourself. Like, me and my friends have started writing this little pamphlet about birth, and one of the sections was education. And I was just typing up, like, writing some stuff in it yesterday. And I was like, that can make or break the whole thing. Because if you don't know for yourself, then anybody can tell you anything. So, with them telling you, like, oh, you're not producing enough milk, and you already know about the endocrine system and how it works. And they're not even telling you, and they should be trained on, they should know about it, So, like, educating yourself on, like, the whole process, so that even though they were saying these things, you weren't getting so scared that you were like, okay, I'll just give my baby this formula. I just always, like, they don't even understand. Like, my insides are like smiling so, like, big, because I'm just like, yes, that's what we need to do. And this is like what we would want to just see more women do, like more mamas do, because this is what the babies need from us. They need us to be like strong, resilient like that, and just say, like, no, you know what you're doing. Like, yes, I'm gonna if my body for some reason is not producing and it needs more time. Yes, I'm gonna make this baby this hemp milk with sea moss and dates in it. I'm not giving my baby your formula of cow milk or whatever kind of stuff it is that's not for my baby's body. Doesn't even have all the minerals and things that my baby needs. And if it is, it's like synthetic or something that doesn't really, what is it called? Like, it's like synthetic things that don't really work with their live bodies. Their bodies are not gonna absorb it the best way. I just think it's cool. I think your baby was telling you, that's like, I always say, like, your baby was communicating with you. Like, he was telling you, like, don't fall into what these people are telling you. Don't let the CPS scare you. Don't give me that milk. Like, don't. Like, you better not give me that milk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So obviously that made a big difference, like a big, it was a huge reason why not to go along with these midwives for your second baby. You already knew for the second one, huh? Like, what you wanted to do.
Exactly. And for the second baby, I didn't see a midwife or anyone at all. And I only went just for proof of pregnancy. Little did I know, because I was researching again, like, how to do this without, like, getting anyone involved, because we did go through the whole birth certificate way. And, like, so we had to go through, like, their system, so, like, proof of pregnancy. I went that once, and it was the worst thing. I was just like, why did I do this? Why? Like, the midwife was also pregnant too. So I felt like she was just like, why wouldn't you want this for your baby? I do this,
And they don't understand, like, and it's not for you to explain. Like, so frustrating. Like, why would you want this for your baby? Like, the best thing has been, like, having my baby. I feel like nobody knows about him yet. Like, y'all know, like, my friends and stuff, but, like, the system, he doesn't have anything attached to him yet. I just think it's okay. Like, babies are fine without it. But I think, yeah, these other people you talk to, or especially, like, midwives or other people, they're just like, why, what? Like, oh my gosh, you're not going to treat this baby right. You're not going to give this baby what it needs. And it's like, really.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the whole blood work thing. They were like, how will I know? Like, you're not anemic, you need this vitamin or mineral and stuff like that. And, like, they were stressing, like, me out, and I'm just like, I'm good. I'm really good. And, like, they know a lot about, like, the nutritional, like, theory, of, like, you need this for a growing baby, you need that and whatnot. And, like, I'm just educating myself, just, like, hearing about other people who were like, born through, like, a mom who had HIV, a crack addict mom, all of that, and they all ended up fine. I'm just like, I'm good. I'm really good, you know, like your body first of all needs air first, you know, before it needs vitamins and nutrients and minerals and whatnot, because like when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to be like, this mineral,
Right.
you know, you need air, you need, so in order to receive those minerals and nutrients and vitamins, the blood has to be able to flow to those parts of the body. And if it's not, then there's no point. Exactly. Right. So if the body, you know, is constipated and there's no air going to these areas of the body, because that's what the blood does, is distribute air into these organs, first and foremost before nutrients and stuff, right? Because like for the body, air is nutrients, you know? So them being like, oh, you don't have this vitamin, this mineral, like you're stressing out, you need to take these prenatal like vitamins and blah blah. If not, then you're not a good mom, you're not doing enough for your baby, and you just feel horrible. You're like, how can I get enough iron? How can I get enough magnesium? How can I get all of these things for my baby? If not, I'm a horrible mother, you know, just stressing over it, stressing over like what you eat, what you don't eat, you know. I could just imagine women like that. And like with being a vegan, plant-based, they're like, but where are you getting your protein, you know? And all those other things.
Everything.
Yeah, it's a nuisance to like stress about all these things, especially when you have a baby. And you would think they would know that stress, like, you know, like stresses out the body, which also stresses out the baby. You'd think that they would do less of making you feel bad and maybe like educating you, like, hey, these are the resources, you can learn this, you can learn that, rather than like, you're not doing enough, your body's not enough, you're not producing enough, and all of that. So yeah, that's why I chose not to have a midwife.
Wow.
Yeah, because a lot of like scare tactics instead of education, and they just look at you like you're dumb, and they're smarter than you know. Yeah.